Okay. Assalamualaikum. Hi. I bid to our lecture, Professor Madia, Dr. Mazlina, and my fellow friends. So today we are from Group 3. We'll present about 3 topics, which is property, plant, and equipment, or PPE, equity, and long-term liability. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ahmad Taufiq Bamanazi. My meeting number 197-184. My groupmate is Yao Xingxi, Ponita, and Muhammad Hilmi. So Hilmi and I will present about property, plant, and equipment. Okay. Punita and she will present about equity and long-term liability. So let's move on to the property, plant, and equipment. Property, plant, and equipment is important components of non-material assets in a business. Paragraph 6 of MFRS 116 states that PPE are physically existing item that can be physically touched. These items are held for use in the production of supply of goods, rental for others, and expected to be used more than one period. So let's move on to the process in a cycle. All of the process need to be understood by the auditor since they are important to know whether the entity have followed the rules and procedure that is set by the entity. So first procedure is purchase requisition. Purchase requisition is a process before before entity purchase an asset. It involves a discussion among the staff, among the importance. So specialized assets has different requisition and authorized procedure. This is compared to the normal asset, which is a low value asset that just need a form a purchase process. Okay, high value asset need go to special budgeting process and approval from higher level of management. So what is a special budgeting process? The special budgeting process is the return can be gained from the investment and internal of return criteria that can be gained from the purchase of the assets. Second, purchasing process. Purchasing process is acquiring the asset whether through cash, credit, or exchange of asset methods. It all depends on the entity ability to afford the assets. As an example, if an entity have low amount of liquid asset but high in fixed asset, the entity can make exchange to acquiring the asset that they want to buy with minimum use of their money. Okay. So the third process is acceptance and recording the assets. There are two methods to recording the assets. First for the specialized assets and second for the normal or low value of assets. Entity will record the asset as soon as receive the invoice or proof of delivery. Invoice can be get from the vendor or the supplier if that we purchase the assets. For asset that go to purchasing process, it will straight to IT department for recorded in PPE transaction file and adapted with the PPE master file transfer to PPE program folder. Later, I will discuss it on a flowchart of the PPE cycle. For specialized PPE transaction, it will recorded to direct input into the system. So they will not go to the IT department first. They will state from the PPE department. All the patient and users of the asset will be recording to the entity rules and procedure. The depreciation and the use of asset such as for lease will be recorded to the entity rules and procedure that we set by the entity. For the last process is disposal of the assets. Disposal of the assets, if involve a huge value of assets, need approval from higher level of management. The entity need to make sure the assets are not useful for the entity or less useful since fully depreciated. The disposal from the asset can be done to retirement of assets or take away the assets. So source document involved. Source document are important because it will give the proof of the transaction happen in the entity. So it's crucial for auditor to gain as many as possible the source document that can be gained. Okay, there are several source document that importance for the PPE cycle. First, property, plant and equipment subsidy ledger. This will provide the full list of assets that make up for the PPE figure in the trial balance. So all the assets, high value or low value, will be appear in this ledger. Okay. It also provide information regarding the assets such as cost of asset, the acquired, method depreciation used by the entity. So second, vendor invoice. Vendor invoice is a proof of delivery from the vendor and date of transfer of ownership. This is important because if we want to record the depreciation, the date of transfer of ownership is crucial to make sure when we can decide the depreciation will be started. Okay. It is also important to make sure the asset recorded in the right accounting period, so that there will be no material misstatement in recording the asset in the right accounting period. Third, sale receipts show the date, value, and how disposal of the asset incurred. This is important to ensure the asset recorded in the right amount of right amount, which is valuation as is valuation assertion, and right accounting period involve a cut off assertion. So the last one is a lease agreement. Lease agreement is an agreement between an owner of the real estates known as lessor and a person willing to make periodical payment known as lessee. In the agreement, it will state amount of paid needed, length of time to stay on premise or property, and the right to use the asset. Sorry. So it will state how much the amount that need to pay by the lessee, the length of time, and the right to use the asset. How the lessee can use the asset, and how the limited of lessee can use the assets. And special condition may included such option to purchase at the end of the lease period may be involved in the lease agreement. So we move on to journal entry and account involved. For purchasing the assets, there are two journal that can be recorded. First, if a company acquiring the asset using cash or credit, the asset should be as debit, and the cash and or account payable should be as credit. Second, when company acquire asset using non-material unit or exchange, asset new asset will be a debit, and the accumulated depreciation from the old asset will be a debit as well, and the old asset will be recorded as credit since we have take away the assets. To record the depreciation of the assets, debit will be depreciation expense, and credit will be accumulated depreciation. For disposal of assets, there are two ways they will be recorded. First, cash on debit, accumulated depreciation debit, and asset also will be on credit. Okay, this is a second way to disposal asset, which is retirement of the assets. Retirement of the asset, debit will be accumulated depreciation, and credit will be assets that we put away. Okay. For lease, there will be two types of lease. First, operating lease and financial lease. For the operating lease, we'll debit cash and credit the lease income. For financial lease, first we will debit lease receivable and credit assets. Cash, we will for the second we will debit cash and credit least receivable. Okay, so we move on to the flow chart for the cycle. Okay, since I have thought that there are two ways to record the transaction in the cycle. First, we go to from the purchasing process, which involve maybe low amount value in the assets. We will go set from this PPE transaction file, and will be synchronized with the PPE master file, and will be transferred to the PPE program. But for the high value of asset, it will state to the physical plant department, specialized PPE transaction. Their input which we recorded that we receive the assets or transfer of ownership, and we will set to the PPE program. They will updated to general ledger program and general ledger report. From the PPE program, we will set to the PPE transaction report. This is important to ensure that the report will state whether whether it have been recorded properly or not. Then we will go back to the physical plant department to supply the report, and the department we will review for the proper recording whether for the department. From the transaction report, it will transfer to the PPE subsidiary ledger for the IT department, and we'll go to the physical plant department for the sub ledger and reconcile to general ledger. Usually, from the PPE sub ledger to the reconciliation ledger will be done monthly to make sure all the transaction or purchase or disposal of the asset will be updated to the general ledger, so that there will be no information that will be left. So that's all for me for the process, for the source of document, journal, and the flowchart. So we give to the Hilmi for continue the presentation.
Hi, with me again, Hilmi. And my name number is 1963336. So I will continue to present about internal control involved in PPE. So what is internal control? So internal control is responsible for the management to maintain control that provides reasonable assurance that adequate control exists over the entity's assets. So that's four that's stated here. First one is control environment. Second one is control activities. Third one is monitoring of control. And the last one is risk assessment. So I will talk about the first one is control environment. What is control environment? So control environment is the set of standards that provide the basis for carrying out internal control across the organization. It provides disciplines and a structure. There are several factors that included in the control. One of it is human resources, policies, and also for how employees engage in their day-to-day activities. So for example, the need to train a new employee on the new scope of work, and some assets needs a special technique of handling, which it is important to train them as it will competent to perform their assigned tasks and assist the workcom in achieving their objective. So the second one is control activities. So what is control activities? Control activity is the policies and procedures that help ensure the management directive are carried out. It is important to let no single individual handles all or most of the transaction involved in fixed asset alone. It's because to detect any fraud or any errors and irregulations. For example, in the big company like WorkCom, a staff named Ahmed as a staff that required for the fixed asset is not the same person to prove for it. So it means there's two staff needed to main, to maintain the work. I mean to work for two sections. First one is to request for the fixed asset, and the second one is to approve for it. So that must be two different person, because it's to detect easy for us to detect that any transaction error or irregulations things happen between the transaction. So the risk for fraud or error to happen is low and can be timely catch. And the third one is monitoring of control. So what is monitoring of control? Monitoring of control is from top board responsible to monitoring all controls and to determine if the controls are monitoring in inventory counted. Is for example, is inventory counted, recording transaction of assets, and many more could help to ensure that the company will achieve its objective while avoiding complications along the way. And the last one is risk assessment. Risk assessment is the identifications and analysis of risks that could distinct the organization from achieving its objective. For example, the evaluate rates of fixed assets, and the company should use a regular basis to prevent from any changes that could affect the organizations if there are any changes in policies or terms or application is made. So next we will move to the next slide, which is which is a risk area in the circle. So as we know, there's two risk area in the PPE circle. One is control risk, and the second one is inherent risk. So control risk, this risk is the risk that a misstatement that could occur cannot be prevented or detected by entities' internal control or timely basis. That's the meaning of control risk. In an session about an accountant's disclosure, and that could be material, either individually or when corresponding with other misstatements, control procedures of purchasing process for PPE are normally for occurrence and authorization. For the WorldCom, must have adequate internal controls in place to avoid and find instances of fraud and error. Basically, big amount of purchasing must have authorization from the top manager to approve the capital assets transactions. It's really important to make sure there's no there must be two-way communication between the Department of Purchasing and also the top manager. Then WorldCom's management always encourage their employees to incorporate teamwork among the community and honest with all the transactions occurred to contribute for the growth of the company. It's to ensure the company is in the right path to ensure to go for the objective. And the second one is inherent risk. Inherent risk is the vulnerability of the accessions in an account and or disclosure to a misstatement due to affected other than a failure of internal control. Like I said about the internal controls before. So inherent risk is the misstatement due other than the failure of the internal control. It considered to be higher when a high degree of judgment and estimation is involved. So it's likely to occur when there are a complex accounting issues which require a high degree of judgment in regard to a financial estimate, and difficult transactions to audit when there are donated assets, non-monetary exchanges, and many more than other than normal transaction and misstatement detected in opening audit. It considered to be higher when a high degree of judgment and, like I said, a degree of judgment and estimation is involved. So as for WorldCom, better to use simple calculation to avoid from any error or any misstatement that will happen or occur at the future. And instead of using a complex calculations, so it can avoid the higher chances of misstatement to occur. So the next slide, I will talk about the important assertion for the circle. So the first one is completeness. So what is completeness? So completeness is all PPE transactions that occur during the period should be recorded during the period. So the auditor could trace the sample of asset to the PPE subsidiary ledger to ensure there's no transaction left out. So to be tally for both accounts, and for example, and is to ensure that no error or misstatement could be occur in the future. So the second one is cut off. So cut off in the all transaction, meaning is all transaction and event have been recorded in the correct account. So for the WorldCom, should make sure all the PP transaction are recorded properly and in the proper period. For example, purchasing of fixed asset have made today, it should be forwarded to the account payable department on the same day to avoid from any miscommunication or any what means like any information left out or something like that. So this will ensure the invoices are matched with the original purchase receipt and it recorded in the correct period, not in the previous accounting period or either the future. So the next one is classification. Classification is all transactions and events have been recorded in the proper account. So normally cut off in the correct account, but for the classification is recorded in the proper account. So it is important to proper classification of PPE transaction as it relates to the WorldCom asset. For example, the purchase of telecommunication equipment has been recorded in the telecommunication equipment accounts. And if the purchase transactions are not properly classified, the asset will be misstated and it will affect the whole the financial statement of the WorldCom. Then the next one is we'll talk about existence. So existence is to ensure all the PPE balances really exist in the reporting date. So for example, is to ensure no transaction being lifted and for confirmation that the balances really exist in a financial statement. So for example, the auditor need to do inspection of tangible assets on the selected items such as telecommunication equipment in the period to ensure that the balance is really exists and there's no transaction being left. And the next one is right and obligations. Right and obligation is to approve the legitimate ownership and right towards the asset shown in the financial statement at the reporting date. For example, the auditor should perform inspection of documents or records of the telecommunication equipment to ensure they all belongs to the entity as the reporting date to avoid for the fraud or anything that might be misstated in the financial statement. So the last one is valuation and allocation. So valuation and allocation is to make sure the mathematical calculation of the PPE balances are correct and a proper valuation method has been made. So for example, review the company's depreciation method to involve whether it is in corresponding with the established accounting standards. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide, which is I will talk about relevant audit procedures for the cycle. So the audit procedure is inquiry. What is inquiry? Inquiry is a process of asking the client or the top manager of or the colleague of the company about the transaction or any equality that might be blown up on our mind, on the auditor's mind, of related to the PPE or related to the transaction that might be query or ending. So the procedure is the auditor may ask about the balance for telecommunication equipment or financial statement. Usually the auditor would ask top board of the company because the answer might be more confident or more can be useful other than to ask for the for the normal click or normal workers. So auditor will go ask direct to the top board or to the somebody that really really know the field well. Then the second one is internal confirmation. Internal confirmation is done by asking the third party instead of the client itself to confirm transaction and balances. So usually it's involved about the asking the confirmation to the bank or to the client's debtor or to the client's that involved in the balance in the transaction in the company. So the procedure is auditor usually done through formal writing letter and is send it to the third party such as bank, debtor, and lease and anyone that involved in that related to the company to confirm the purchasing or to confirm something transaction that really occur between these two party, between our client and the third party. Then the third one is inspection of records or documents. So inspection of records and documents is the process of gathering evidence by examining the records or documents. So it involves tracing and involves tracing into the one. So the procedure is auditor will gather evidence and selected items such as telecommunication equipment to ensure they are all belong to the company, or to make sure that the transaction is really exist and they have the right to use the asset or the something that they are purchased of. Okay, next we going to the fourth one is we're going to talk about inspection of tangible asset. So inspection of tangible asset is a physical examination on the asset balance tally with the balances at the period end. So it is important for the purpose of financial statement and the efficiency of the work count. So by doing this inspection of tangible asset, we're going to go through the tangible asset, and we do some examining on the asset to make sure there's the procedure or all the material or the one that have in the records really tally with the physical one. Really mean like the equipment really can be used or not and so on. And the fifth one is observation. So observation is the process of watching a procedure being performed As such of process of watching a procedure being performed. As such, the manufacture of optical fiber related to the WorldCom company. So the procedure is to know the exact amount of the raw material used and amount of the product being produced in one day or in a month or in the year. So the auditor can predict the outcomes of the production and to ensure the procedure follows the established criteria and the company's objective. Mean the production department really alert about the objective of the company and they are in the correct track to while perform the productions. I mean, so the last one is reperform. Reperformance is sorry. Reperformance is the process that auditor independently perform the control procedures. Sorry, independently perform the control procedures that have been done by the client as a part of the internet control. So, actually, the procedure is the auditor may reperform audit procedures of some of the procedures that might be curious about or the auditor want to know further about the procedure. Then it's reperform audit procedure on the fixed or on the okay, let's say fixed asset procedure as done by the client. So you want to like to see or to independently perform to know that how the performance is performed and to ensure that the outcome of the performance is the same with the one that the company stated in the financial statement. And so that's all from me. So thank you. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so my name is Hilmi and my number is 196336. So today I will present about the answer for the questions. First of all, so the question is about the PPE and it required the specific sessions for the audit of the telecommunication equipment and line capacity account for WorldCom. So this is the answer. So the first one is the detailed accession for the audit of this account is existence of the communications equipment and line capacity account for WorldCom. So the auditor should gather the evidence which is involved with need to test to make sure the telecommunications equipment and line capacity for WorldCom actually exists. Auditor will obtain listing for all additions by checking from the vendor invoices and physically examining the telecommunications equipment to make sure they exist as same amount value stated in the vendor invoices. So the second one is the detailed sessions that needs by this account is accuracy in value for swapped line capacity with other carrier. So the audit evidence that to be gathered is the auditor need to test to make sure WorldCom has swapped line capacity according to the agreement that has been made with Spring. So it's like you want to make sure that the agreement has been made and agreement have been really pursued in that stated in the agreement. Then the auditor can test it by inspection of document regarding the agreement between two companies, which is WorldCom and Spring, and compared with the PPE, which is property, plant and equipment subsidiary ledger, to ensure the amount recorded is accurate. So to make sure that the two accounts is balanced, which means there's no fraud happen between these two accounts. So the next one is So the next detail session is for this account is right and obligations that need to be fulfilled by WorldCom. So the audit evidence that must be gathered by the auditor is the auditor needs to ensure WorldCom has fulfilled the obligations to allow Spring to use a portion of its line capacity in the eastern part of the United States, while can use Spring line capacity in Midwest. This can be done by checking the agreement document and check the fulfillment of the contract from both parties. So next will be continued by Taufik.
So we continue for the answer for this question. The third session is a right and obligation that need to be fulfilled by the WorldCom. Auditor needs to ensure WorldCom has fulfilled the obligation to allow Spring to use a portion of its line capacity in the eastern part of the United States, while can use Spring line capacity in the Midwest. This can be done by checking the agreement document and check the fulfillment of the contract from both parties. Auditor can check the agreement that we signed by both parties and go to the site to ensure that both parties have fulfilled the agreement. In this question, it stated that WorldCom only give the capacity to Spain at least ostensibly. Ostensibly means that maybe it only on a paper, not in the not being done. That's mean the action is not being done. Okay. So auditor need to increase its professional skepticism since it may be involved a lot of risk for to be happen. So the final session for this account is completeness and recording the exchange of telecommunication equipment. Auditor need to test whether all the exchange of telecommunication equipment have been recorded according to WorldCom procedures. The auditor will select a sample of vendor invoices and test them to subsidiary property plant and equipment ledger to check whether it has been recorded in it. Auditor can also get from the external confirmation from the vendor to ensure that the amount in the invoice is right and the invoice the transaction is exists, so that it will be for more reliable to be compared to the property plant equipment ledger to check whether it's been recorded in it or not. So that's all for Hilmi and I for the PPE topics. For that's for equity and long-term reality will be presented by Shi and Punita. So that's all from us. Thank you.